LCK Summer Split 4주차 출발합니다. 안녕하세요,
LCK Summer Split brought to you by FLICKR and Jopsal, as known as Swan, the LCK caster of Korea. And this is Jesus with the analyst as translation. So we're going to be having an analyst about 9.12 patch started from last week. So we're first of all picking up Sejuani. It's having 100% pick and ban rate currently, and also it is one of the top tier champion in jungle. Besides that, Karma is also having 100% pick and ban rate. However, Nuguri did go with the clap to Karma in top lane. However, it didn't really show very significant results, and it's not that viable in LCK so far. However, in foreign leagues, starting with 9.12 patch and 9.13 patch, actually it's having an increasing win rate currently, and it's on 2-0 score currently in LEC as well. And people were mentioning about Yuumi. Well, until the 2019 LCK Summer Split week number 2, it was having a very poor result with 2 wins and 7 losses. However, with Leehan's pulling off great performance of Yuumi, its value is soaring high. So in LPL, well, Yuumi is not a very mainstream champion. However, it's a very commonly coming out with Sivir. However, it's getting countered by Alistar, and also it's having a quite low win rate in LEC. However, it's having a very high win rate in LCS. Then let's talk about some of the issues of last week, watching the highlight clips together. First off is SK Telecom. Their slump is getting extended. They are having a tie record of the team's longest losing streak. They even tried some unexpected rosters up against Griffin, putting in Gory for substitute player for FLICKR. However, they are still on a very huge 5 games losing streak so far. And once again, we're mentioning Yuumi right here. With 9.12 patch, LCK is also trying to pull up some of the changes and new champions in the competitive games. So this is Top Gragas from Rascal, and also Kane, one of the most famous pickup Dread in Africa. And also, OnFleek also tried using SANDBOX. However, Kane is having a very low win rate. It's actually on a losing streak, so we're not really sure whether we'll be seeing it again. But it is interesting that LCK is always trying new things moving into the Summer Split. And also, Nar from CuVee was one of the most significant pick of GenG last week. And moving on to Showmaker, his Akali performance in the outplay was unbelievable. He also called himself as the legendary Akali over here. He's speaking, everyone, make a way, make a way, I'm coming through. So we could see hard carry mode of top laner and the mid laner from Damwon. And point number 4, GenG is coming back to its form, turning into the fall. So will we be able to see another strong GenG for the world? We'll have to find out till the end of the Summer Split, and whether they can make it back to Worlds. Interesting thing is that GenG actually hasn't changed their style a lot. However, their game speed is getting faster and faster. So maybe it's a very positive remark for GenG as a team. So their draft and playstyle didn't really sweep much. However, the way they snowball through their profits and points, it has got improved a lot. So they are able to kind of go with the fast tempo games. Then let's check out some of the rankings in LCK.
그리핀과 샌드박스가
First off is
1위에
the
올라
team
있는데
rankings currently. Griffin, Sandbox,
네,
they
일단
are
어떻게 보면
both
되게
on
익숙한
5-1
선수인 것 같아요.
score.
지난
However,
스플릿 때도
Griffin
그리핀과
has a better
샌드박스가 1, 2,
set score so far,
비슷한
having an 8
순위표를 보고 있고,
points,
거기다가 3위, 4위,
and then
5위까지
followed by
합쳐봤을 때
Sandbox,
1,300 차이가
Kingdom,
나지 않기
GenG,
때문에
Talon Gaming.
상위
However,
굉장히
the
치열한
rankings
그런
are
상황이라고 볼 수
really
있겠죠.
close and
대신에
the
좀
competition
성적이
is
유난히
really
안 좋은
fierce,
게
so every
눈에
match
띄는 팀들이
matters.
있죠. 아프리카도 분위기 대비 지난주 차에는
And
좀
the
경기가 안
interesting
좋았고,
thing
하나는
here is that
승부
Africa,
초반에
they
있지만은
seem to
플레이오프
have a
가기
very
위해서 좀 많은
positive
분발이
move
필요합니다.
and
특히
very
KT,
good momentum, but
나란히
last week they
지금
had a bit of a
저쪽에
hard
있다는 게
time
많은
and they are actually on the
분들에게
right side of the column.
네, 동부 리그에서는 좀 고민이 많아질 것 같고요.
네.
이어서 MVP 순위 확인하시죠.
Then let's check out the MVP
자,
ranking.
정말 좋은 모습 보여주고 있는 드레드 선수가
Dread is the leader with 500 points, followed by Summit, Rascal, Nuguri. They all three in a tie for second place with 400 points.
하지만 팀 성적까지는 조금 더
Dread
이어주는 게 아프리카
has
필요할 것 같습니다.
shown very stepped up performance in the Summer Split. However, Africa is still on the 6th place so far, so it's not that really relevant to its team score.
안정적인 라인전
And
운영을
this
통해
is the KDA ranking for each lane. First off is top lane, Sword, Nuguri, Keen, Rascal, CuVee.
KDA 순위 2위를 기록하고 있죠.
Nuguri, most interesting thing is that he's trying a lot of aggressive plays, but he is still on the second place for the KDA ranking. And moving on to jungle, Tarzan followed by Peanut, Cuz, Canyon, Dread, they're on the list.
각각 같이 만들어내는 그림이 많아지니까 피넛 선수의 KDA, 젠지의 성적
Peanut,
모든 게 한꺼번에 좀 시너지가
with the synergy with his teammates and also improved performance and result of GenG, Peanut is also the very high ranking of KDA. And moving on to the mid lane, Showmaker is on the first place, followed by CuVee, Dub, Kuzan, and Daehyun.
안정감, 그 안정감이 KDA로 드러났다고 볼 수 있겠죠.
The Showmaker had a very consistent performance throughout the laning phase, which is the fundamental factor maintaining his high KDA. And speaking of the bot laners, Viper is on the first place, followed by Roller, Teddy, Nuclear, and Aiming.
네, 이어서 서포터
And
순위인데요.
lastly, let's take a look at the support. The best Yuumi player, Yuumi, is on the first place, and followed by Life, Tusin, Burrow, and Mara.
굉장한 플레이 많이 보여주었고 리엔즈 선수, 라이프 선수, 투신 선수,
Lihen's
세
line,
선수의
Tusin, the
공격적인
three
공격적인
players,
플레이를 통해 이니시에이팅을 주도적으로
as a
연다는
common
건데
factor, they
그런
all
것도
prefer
지금의
very
KDA라는 건
aggressive plays.
엄청난
At the same
플레이가
time,
펼쳐지고 있다는 거죠.
they are remaining on the very top rankings of
포지션에서
KDA. So
굉장히 많이
this is a
나오고
proof
있습니다.
that their performance
아무래도
is on
좀
point.
경기를 받쳐주는 그런 선수들이 중요하다고 볼 수 있겠죠.
네, 특히나 이제 바텀에서부터
So in the
뭔가
bot
사고를
lane,
만들어내면서 상체 싸움 가기도 전에 경기를 뒤흔들어
Usually nowadays, the game is ending really quicker, so everything that happens during the laning phase actually matters a lot. So priority and pressure in lanes is also very significant in this current meta. So let's check out the schedules for this week.
자, 일단 목요일 통신사전
Thursday, we're having the Telecom War.
성적이 정말 안 좋을 때
8 p.m.
바꾸는
Korean
거고
Standard
뭔가
Time,
양팀 다
but
가능성을 세트
the
세트에서
both
보여줬기
teams
때문에
are
더
actually
많은 팬분들이 좀
having
기대를
a
하고
very
싶어요.
hard time.
네,
They're very
무엇보다
shaky.
이번 주
So this
4주차
is not the
경기
Telecom
일정을
War that we used to expect back in the days, but this is the final time to kind of get their status checked before the Rift Rivals. So all the teams, the 4 teams heading into Rift Rivals, they have to show what they got in competitive games in LCK.
그리고 T1과 KT 그리고 주말에
In the
있을
same,
그리고 킹존의 경기가 정말 중요하다고 생각이 드는데요.
insights, so all the matches, Hamon, Africa also matters a lot because Hamon is going to be at the Rift Rivals as well. So we have to see how far they can go going up against Africa, which is one of the most aggressive teams in LCK currently.
두 팀 다 리프트 라이벌즈에 출전하기 때문에 기대가 되죠.
네, 또 아프리카가 순위를 다시 끌어올릴 수 있을지도
And also this can be a
기대되는
chance for Africa to kind of
자,
bounce
4주차 오늘
back
첫
in week number
경기부터
4.
굉장히
So
흥미롭습니다. 젠지와
today we're going to be having GenG versus SANDBOX for the
만나보시죠.
first game, so I'm going to pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, G-Sun, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to LCK 2019 Summer. It is the dawn of week 4, and we have a big match to start things off. GenG making a FLICKR look silly in their last match, and a 4-match winning streak for SANDBOX. The good news is going to have to end for one of these teams.
Definitely should be a competitive first match. The second match is Jinair versus our Inform Griffin. So that one could be blink and you miss it. So the first one's the one we're going to linger on. Where are these two teams at? Because SANDBOX, I think, have been consistent. I think back to their win over KT, I got to watch on as they just out-thought, I would say, KT at every moment. Not necessarily the fighting, but just the way they approached that game, the Pike game where Prey got way ahead on Prey Day, but then the team kind of conspired for their own downfall. SANDBOX looked smart, but GenG are building, and they're building amusingly in just quintessential GenG fashion. CuVee straps on that world skin, and suddenly it all comes together on Gnar.
Yeah, either he's playing top lane Tahm Kench, or he's playing the Gnar again. So they're figuring things out. They're trying to work out CuVee's style and fit it into the current meta, and with a 27-minute victory over FLICKR Freaks in game number 2, it certainly has been working out. Points of the match here is Spring Summer GenG win rate. GenG pick up back-to-back victories versus second place. 4-game winning streak for SANDBOX. Like we iterated before, if GenG wins, both teams are on 5-2, and if SANDBOX wins, SANDBOX becomes the only first-place team with 6 victories, possibly soon to be equalized once again by Griffin after our second match.
It's just a really intriguing one. Because top lane, without that performance most recently, you think, Summit's going to beat up on CuVee. But CuVee's been doing that old man thing where you manipulate champion pools to once again be in your wheels. If it can be about Gnar and Tahm Kench, of course CuVee is going to be competitive again. He could always do it to Smeb, right? He was always able to bend Smeb to his will in those big matches in the past. Now he has to do it against Summit, who does have that really unique overlapping champion pool with Dove, where you're just never sure which lane picks are going into.
Yeah, I think the draft is going to be very important. I'm glad you brought that up, because he made Keen look silly. It was very strange in the FLICKR Freaks series. There were 2 deaths for GenG in that series. It was 1 per game for CuVee. That was all they managed to figure out against this squad. The rest of the team went deathless. It was absolutely incredible.
And we've just seen very little consistency from GenG. Remember, they were playing Karma Olaf like less than 2 weeks ago. Stuff that seemed really against their style. Then they seemed to bring back their style against Afrika. So a bit of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from a good old GenG. But we're going to look over some highlights from them, and certainly plenty from the most recent series.
Yeah, CuVee getting that Gnar bar in a pretty good position, guys. And just smacking people into walls. This was how GenG were able to win this series. They won team fights in the early game that they were all managed to get there for. And it was from that point on that Afrika didn't have a way to get back into the game. It was actually a very easy way to get highlights for this series, because there are a couple of team fights either carried by CuVee's Gnar or Life's Rakan that really just showed that GenG were the better team fighting team on the day.
And there were no life puns required for me in this game. Life was popping off.
Oh, hell yeah. Life was good in the LCK.
Oh, you got there first. All right. Listen, I see how it is. That's a bad omen for this particular cast. SANDBOX keep finding a way. This was the game where it looked like things were finally coming together, because the first 2 games were a bit shaky, but the final game, the moment they got a good gank around the Sona Pike lane, you kind of knew it was all going to fall into place with the reputation Sona has in the LCK.
Yeah, and then Joker was a legitimate assassin on the Pike, so we'll see whether SANDBOX are going to have access to the Sona lane once again. I have a feeling that GenG are going to look at that one as something they don't want to deal with. I mean, BDD put in a heroic effort on the Talir, especially in the laning phase, but unfortunately it just wasn't going to happen afterwards.
Gameplay!
We were talking about the gameplay quite a lot in this series,
just juke
I remember.
Just juke the auto attack.
Yeah, why didn't he juke it? He should have flashed.
Classic ruler.
Yeah.
Classic ghost. As we go to CuVee versus Summit, kind of a very fitting matchup. I don't think this could be the earnest graphic if not for CuVee's great performance most recently, because it gives us hope that he'll find a way once again to use what feels like outdated tools, but still his wiles to overcome a mechanically superior top lane.
I'm just not sure how CuVee has higher damage numbers than Summit.
He played Gnar.
He did play Gnar, but that was in 1 game. This is season stats. And somehow CuVee's managed to come out on top when it comes to damage done. I guess if you play a lot of Gangplank, you're going to do a little bit more damage.
He played a lot of Cannon too. Like, damage percentage, as we know, is not the most earnest of stats.
But it is something that Summit has always had.
The goal difference of 15 bouncing around does show their tendencies. CuVee likes to get pushed in. Summit likes to get those turret plates. We go to the GenG side. No changes in roster. Still no sighting of Fly in summer season.
Yeah, no Fly and no Songwon to make his return to the Rift as well. Only had a couple of games so far, but Peanut has been on a tear. He managed to out-jungle Dread in their last series, and that is an accolade that's certainly something worth looking at because, of course, Dread is leading our MVP rankings at the moment, has been a great tool for the Afrika Freaks.
And today he has perhaps a related but different opposition. And the OnFleek is also on the aggressive ebb, but he seems to have a bit more of the seasoning, a bit more of the smarts around how to manipulate an enemy jungler. So it's one scout to go against Dread, who's likely to yo-yo right up and right down. Against OnFleek, this would be a really impressive backup performance for Peanut.
Yeah, we'll see whether Peanut can play as aggressively as OnFleek has been able to. Of course, his most played champion is the Xin Zhao, and that is a perfect indication as to what style OnFleek has been playing mostly. But what we don't need to worry about is our rosters here for SANDBOX. They have had the same one for a very long time, and it's been working out for them. Excited to see how it's going to work for SANDBOX on the Rift, because they've been mixing things up with a lot of their compositions, a lot of their drafts, and like you've been saying, the Dove Summit FLICKR has been very effective.
And if you wanted a one-liner for who SANDBOX Gaming are for me, it's always better than expected. For some reason, this team has this kind of unfair mind space for most analysts where you're always waiting for them to drop off. In spring season, when they would join first place, you were waiting for it to drop off. In summer season, everyone's still unsure because you look at their results and you look at the way they play and how they controlled KT in the games they won, how they were smarter by a lot. You're like, okay, this team seems just legit good, definitely has some strong players in it. But because there's no one player you point at and say, this is the superstar that's the best in his role, people always think they're going to fall away. But if you keep piling on victories, they'll be 6-1. If they win this series.
Yeah, 6-1 equal with Griffin. Of course, they did fall away in spring season, didn't make it to the Rift Rivals top 4 or anything like that, so we're not going to be seeing them at that particular tournament, but it means that they'll have some more time to prepare for summer. And I think that with their first season being spring of 2019, summer will have a more level-headed SANDBOX Gaming that might be able to get themselves into that playoff contention and run that gauntlet as best they can.
Really interesting series. I feel like, honestly, could go either way. This is kind of 55-45 to SANDBOX for me, even though it's 5-1 versus GenG's had a bit of an easier schedule than most. I wonder, I think everyone looks at that GenG 2-0 over FLICKR and doesn't know what to make of it. Maybe we'll get some more data points. We can put on our lab coats. We can get scientific Atlas. That's what we love to do.
Yeah, I actually think that this is a huge match when it comes to momentum creation for both of these teams. I think this is actually a very pivotal moment for either GenG or SANDBOX. Whoever comes out with a victory here will be set up so much better to head into the second round robin and really get things going on. Some cosplay in the audience here at Lowell Park. GenG fans, of course, always extremely enthusiastic. Hello, Western fan there in the audience. Hope you managed to pick up a radio. We now have access to.
We can talk to you now. We can.
I know.
We can incept to you later if you get on screen again.
Why did that sound weird? It sounded weird.
Inception is weird.
It is.
Good movie.
Fantastic movie. I'm certainly a big fan.
Guys,
I'm also a big fan of drafts, and here we are.
Just so you guys know, patch 9.12. I know you guys want to see Mordekaiser. We have been informed that Mordekaiser is still on vacation till patch 9.13, so no Mordekaiser today. Really wanted it to be open, but it is not.
Yeah, and I really want to see just how the Death Realm works. That's what I want to see on the Spectate climb. That's I'm very excited for that, but that's more of a scientific thing like we were talking about before.
Speaking of vacations, feels like the new red side permaban status is Sejuani Karma, and if you want me to throw in a third, it's Yuumi. So SANDBOX have been very tier list in their bans. GenG Flex Tom Kench, baby. But remember, it's a Flex Tom Kench with Venom behind it. The Sona is available, so SANDBOX have to be playing around Sona Tom Kench being the bot lane duo from GenG. You have to be mindful of that. So at least finding some lane presence is very important.
Well, they're hovering the Lux at the moment. That could be the potential answer to the Sona. It is a way of mitigating a lot of that poke harass and things like that. It is going to be the Lux locked in. Joker has been gravitating to this pickup. They could just lock in Sivir right here and just have that bottom lane already locked. But we'll see whether OnFleek wants to get himself a priority jungler. Does have a deep pocket when it comes to his picks, so
I don't like AD carry in this spot because I want to choose my AD carry with the Sona information, and they only have one chance to take it because it'll be banned by SANDBOX for second round. So given that, go anywhere else, jungle or mid lane I think is the pickup. Azir win rate in Korea, even though we came in with that ironic reputation with it feeling outdated at the start of the split, has been super high, so no surprise. the Azir be picked up, and actually GenG seem to be giving up the Sona on this side, so maybe just an adjustment, who knows?
Well, or it's just their exact same draft that they had against the Afrika Freaks, which was Xayah Rakan that they picked after this.
But, I mean, Sona's and Xayah or Rakan is pretty obvious double ban for the second round.
I guess so.
So I think there's very little chance they should be allowed to roll that back. Or you could just steal away the Xayah. We've already been beating the drum that Xayah only is the new Rakan only from previous years. So Xayah power level, Essence Reaver power level. Very nice pickup here, and now it's just a single ban, so I actually like this adaptation. Ghost previously hadn't been a Xayah player of repute, but had a really good game on Xayah to close out the week against KT, so I don't hate this pickup at all.
No, I don't mind it. Feels like top of the tier list when it comes to both support and AD carry, even if it's not necessarily a lane that sticks out. I mean, the Civil Lux has been a lot of the Lux lanes that we've seen. We've still been seeing the Lovers duo on that bottom side. Kalista going to be banned away, and I love this ban against Ruler because Ruler has been a brilliant bridging tool for GenG in past weeks. In fact, Afrika, I believe, banned it in back-to-back games.
And maybe SANDBOX just have confidence in ignoring the Sona. They haven't banned it so far.
Well, I mean, it's Ruler, right?
He's played one game of it and looked fine on it, but it's, like you say,
just
the
doesn't
reason,
feel right.
Because it's Ruler and he was basically raid boss, either I'm carrying or we're losing in spring, and has always been an outstanding AD carry. They're rolling the dice, and this is the sort of thing that can burn you, because any fan can come up if you lose to Sona Tom Kench and say, well, you had it coming.
Yeah.
So SANDBOX playing with fire a little bit. Doesn't mean they have to lock in something, not knowing where Mr. Kench is going. Jungle pick being considered here. It's into Rek'Sai. This is very much the answering pick that we saw from North America for a long time, and other regions have picked it up after MSI. Very much a pick that means that if Rek'Sai doesn't get the business done early, goes in, gets Skarner ulted, dies, and GenG say thank you very much, and they picked about the most GenG comp you could ever imagine.
Yeah, and that's going to be the Tahm Kench, of course, being moved towards the bottom side of the map, and CuVee is going to be getting his favorite champion. He's been having bans put towards him, the only top laner that's had GP bans thrown at him.
GenG, Team Liquid, just feel like they're on the same wavelength with some of these picks. I think CuVee has been chatting to Impact and trying to find his new leases on life. It means SANDBOX do get potential answering here. Vladimir is the most classic counter pick into the GP because there is a lot of aggressive options. I feel like, in effect, we haven't been seeing the GP busting that we saw 1 year ago when people would take Ignite and would be able to really get going. So we can see what the summoner choice is, but SANDBOX overall, they've played with fire. And I think they do have winning lanes that can run over GenG, so you can almost see, kind of continuing the Inception line, you can almost see both futures, and it's going to take pretty active gameplay with a Skarner jungle to really apply the pressure early, unless you're just doing it in the lanes 2v2 and 1v1.
Yeah, and I'm like looking at this SANDBOX composition, and you mentioned winning lanes. I mean, Vladimir being a winning lane as well as being the late game threat that we all know he is terrifying, because there's Azir and Xayah to back this up. There is so much late game teamfight potential out of this squad, so just scaling up next to them is not really going to be an option here for GenG.
But how often do you scale up next to a Sona comp with GP thrown in there and find inroads? You're right, there's a bit more merit to that idea, but at some point, isn't that the wrong way to be approaching a GenG squad that, you know, when in doubt, goes scale till we're fine? So I think it's risky to scale alongside Sona. Nameplates off with the nameplates on, also questionable. We'll see, though, if GenG can get a good early start, because the one thing they do have is they do have a jungler who can get it going faster. So we'll see if Peanut is active in the lanes. You start a snowball in a Sona lane. We saw that against KT. Sometimes a Sona lane just straight up wins.
And you can also then just have the cannon barrage on the bottom side of the map. We can set up teleports. We can really create.
Atlas,
better bot wins has been something that we've thrown around so far on this current patch, but certainly some interesting compositions to start off week 4. Let's see how it goes. GenG fans always so incredibly loud. Papa Smithy, as we have a look at the skybox, it is still daytime here on Summoner's Rift. We haven't set up the nighttime just yet.
Sorry, I'm birdwatching, Atlas.
He should have gone pigeon mode for the pitcher. Dang it. opportunity missed.
OnFleek rocking his Ambition skin.
Yep.
It's so hard to explain that reference because it
I know,
sounds
'cause
so weird
it's
out of context.
such a weird,
Korean
weird
fans,
meme as well.
Korean fans decided that Ambition looked a lot like an axe murderer, and given there's a lot of axes going on here and blades, this is his skin.
He's a lawnmower.
Yeah,
It's the lawnmower.
I mean, lawnmowers and axe murder is pretty similar.
I mean, I guess you could do some murdering with a lawnmower.
I haven't seen those YouTube clips.
I think it's in one of those like horror comedy movies, like Scary Movie or something like that. I think there's a lawnmower death. I'm not entirely sure.
I've had a couple of horror comedy moments, seeing these summoner airy Sonas trying to get the same value and then lose lane and fall away. So I'm happy that Klepto is stabilizing. I understand the high roll of summoner airy because in a scrim you get away with it and then you proc it a million times, but it really does remove 2v2 value from a laning phase that can always be really hard. So I think going Klepto was the kind of safe way to approach. Joker actually started W. You don't see that often on the Lux, but enough for them. Start the pushing. We all know how this lane phase goes, so no need to explain the Frostmancy and life CSing on Tahm Kench any longer.
Well, you saw Ruler just get some double value there with his Spell Thieves, so he's off to a decent start on the quest. We've had some very long quests so far, and some very short ones. I believe, what was our best? Was it about 7 minutes? Yeah.
It depends how greedy you want to be. I believe in that one, Viper straight back the moment he had 450 gold and got the upgrade on Spell Thieves to the Frostfang and just went for full CS mode. Some people prefer to wait till tier gold, which obviously extends your laning phase and delays the proc. A couple of different options there. Very interesting to see how Ruler will approach it. While Vladimir gets into that great spot against GP. In the early lanes, it's no longer Kleptomancy. There's those reinforced procs of the CuVee gangplank, so for now, going to be very stable on the top side.
Yeah, of course, has taken grasp, so currently going to be A-OK, but see whether the Vladimir can get the wave into a decent position. You can see vision available for both of our top laners, no real inroads. Checking in on the junglers, it's just top side starts for both teams. They're going to meet towards this bottom side, no surprise. If you've been watching the GenG side of the jungle, that Peanut does want to end up towards the bottom side to see whether he can find any options against Ghost and Joker. It's a difficult gank, though.
Oh, it's a pretty nothing-doing game when it comes to the junglers. Rek'Sai has the most ability to impact lanes, but it has to be a LeBlanc chains, otherwise nothing in the lanes to back up. Yeah. Tahm Kench can get 3 autos on double range, and Vladimir, enough said. So only mid lane really has potential inroads. So this could be a longer Atlas. I think you can get comfortable. You can start thinking about your teamfight tactics builds for later today. What you playing with these days after the last patch?
It's sort of been weird because the last patch got everyone playing gunslingers again, and I've found that everyone wants to build assassins. So I've just gone back to playing Wild, even though it's been nerfed and just still winning on it.
I've been classical as well. I've been reliving SKT 2015 and running Lululushin wherever possible.
Oh, God.
SKT 2015 fans love the Lululushin.
Go on the Juggolution.
Hey, Lucian's latest buff, that boy loves to just skate around the...
I feel like it's a bit of a shout-out to our mate Rusty back in Australia because he really does enjoy the AP Lucian style as well. So Luden Zeko, he's no stranger to that build on current League of Legends Lucian.
I love watching streams. Everyone's playing with gunslingers because they were buffed, and every time you see a Lucian pop off, people are spamming Uzi Pog, which is so funny.
Yeah.
I never really understood those references in the other auto chess games because I didn't follow the scenes, but following the scene there is rewarding. Speaking of following scenes, though, Peanut's lying in wait.
He was lying in wait for a very long time, though, and Dove finds him first. The rotation from Kuzan a little bit too slow. They managed to get the Spire, and that's just a free flash onto Peanut.
Trying to patrol there, but
maybe he was thinking about his teamfight tactics builds as well.
Exactly. So everyone was lying in wait, but that usually means that someone is out of position. Turret plates versus Sona Tahm Kench. They saw the enemy jungler, so no need to respect anything for Ghost and Joker, who do have that jungle disadvantage in terms of early pressure. So seeing Peanut flash, basically you walk up and cash in the gold. That's been reserved for you.
Ruler now has himself a red pot, so we'll see whether he can make any use of that one. Joker's going home, or was thinking about it, as Ghost goes down to about half health, and every time one of these autos and the Qs connect from Ruler, it's more money going over to the Sona.
The recent LCK trend against Sona lanes has been very early executioners calling on first back. You don't get that many points in the heal till much later in the laning phase, so those early heals get cut down into basically meaningless numbers. And then you're just a melee Tahm Kench walking up facing grievous wounds and not a lot of healing behind you. So actually is a lot of validity to it. I've liked that adaptation. I believe the first we saw was Deft going to the very early first by grievous wounds.
That was on his Sivir as well, so was able to block a lot of the Qs coming out to deny quest completion as well as the extra gold that you get from that Spell Thief. So a bit of double duty coming out from Deft's decisions there against the Sona. Backing on a ward on the side of GenG, but the minion wave is going to distract Ghost for long enough. But knows exactly where the bottom lane is. They'll be teleporting back in a moment's time.
And then you just wonder if SANDBOX are opting into Skarner jungle, into scaling. Maybe they do subscribe to what you were putting forward of, let's just out-teamfight a Sona comp, which I think is just a kind of a bridge too far, too risky of a decision. But with the champions they have, Vladimir, Azir, both premier team fighters, like you mentioned, Zaya's right up there and has the ability to disengage. The one thing you can say about GenG is while they have good synergy with the Sona empowered auto attacks, you think of auto attackers like Camille being god tier, Aurelia being god tier with Sona. GP and Rek'Sai definitely do their share of auto attacking. Their front line is going to be very brittle in team fights. So that's the sort of team fight where Dove can just dive in, Azir Sec, split up a team fight. There's no Taric ult that's going to overlap on both sides. And the lack of front line might just lead to pretty fast picks. And then from there, you still have more threat from people like Vladimir, etc. So I can understand the logic. I just think on paper, the idea sounds much more to the riskier side than I necessarily would index into.
Yeah, I'm in this weird state of mind where I'm like looking at a Sona comp thinking that it's going to spike in the mid game, which is just a really strange thing to try and wrap my head around given what you've just indicated, right? Like the teamfight cohesion isn't necessarily something you want to talk about, but the teamfight setup and the control around this mid-game to try and at least get everyone to the right place at the right time is certainly going to be there for GenG. So now that CuVee has hit that level 6, now it has level 7, so Cannon Barrage is online. Starting the snowball rolling for GenG is certainly possible at this stage. So bridging this Sona into a terrifying position is going to be available, but if SANDBOX just don't let that happen, I actually think that you're right when you're talking about their teamfight composition looking very strong as we scale further forward.
Well, it seems like the scaling is inevitable with how slow and passive the first 8 minutes have been. We're not getting the aggressive League of Legends we might want from some of these teams. GenG, we weren't expecting that, of course. OnFleek walks up with lane presence, going to be able to contest this red, steals it away. Rek'Sai missing out on buffs, and Peanut losing Flash did remove kind of the only serrated Dirk of the early game, the only aggressive tool that really was drafted across 10 champions. And that has meant that scaling was kind of the modus operandi.
Well, now Summit going aggressive onto CuVee here is going to get a fair bit of damage back with the Hemo Plague.
It begins.
Yeah, this is where the matchup does turn around. Summit now with his 20% extra CDR. He's going to have a heck of a lot given his runes, as you know, will be scaling up past that 40% very, very soon. And that means that this lane is certainly something that is well within his grasp. Sheen, augmented by a Hex Drinker, is going to come in for CuVee, but I don't know whether that's going to be enough to save him from the onslaught of the Hemomancer.
It's definitely a stabilizer, but anything that delays 20% CDI Trinity Force procs is happy news from the Vladimir's perspective. You have to wrestle with the options you have. With the priority bot side, it's been delayed. OnFleek's been on farming duty till 6. We will finally get the first Drake of the game. Drake stacking against Sona Tom Kench on the bot side. Very standard approach, and you'll take an Ocean for laning phase into an Infernal. That actually suits SANDBOX just fine.
Yeah, it's pretty good, especially with Ghost and Joker both wanting to spam spells here and try and shove in and put pressure on Ruler and Life. Ruler still just wants them to hang around in the lane so he can throw Qs at them and try and complete this quest at a reasonable pace.
So as a complete 180 away from what we're seeing on the Rift, kind of a frigid, slow start, it has been super hot in Korea recently.
Oh, yes.
Now, we're Aussies. We're used to kind of a hot summer, but how are you battling the summer, Atlas? How are you doing it?
Well, I recently cleaned my air conditioner.
Ooh.
And had it on for the first time.
Is that a thing you just know how to do, or is that like, do you need a YouTube tutorial to clean an air conditioner?
Cherry, my girlfriend, is actually, she knows all about it. She sorted it all out. She's worried about her cat's...
Duo-Q partner, then, is the solution.
Yes, yes. That was... if it was me, I would have just turned it on. I didn't even know that you it was a thing that you could do at home without getting someone to come do it for you. So I'm useless. But we have that one on. So yeah, it's starting to get warm, Papa Smithy. And in my little office room with my PC, my computer gets a lot of work done when it comes to heating the house.
Well, you seem very in tune with weather now. I'm going to need you to tell me when this game's getting a bit warm, when I should really be ready for that fire. I'm going to allow you to be the weatherman of this broadcast.
Well, it's going to get a whole lot hotter in 3.5 minutes, Bob Smithy.
All right.
That's the forecast that I'm going to put down for you.
The forecast for 1435 is looking pretty good.
Yep. Forecast for 1435 is looking real good.
I'll take your word for it.
And there's that big scaly bird that's coming into the dragon pit, Bob Smithy. That's where I want you to direct your gaze. Top left. That could be a pretty good omen. But we'll see.
Do you think Riot regrets that they didn't make it so that every item you purchase impacts what your model looks like? You know, kind of the MOBA thing of like, look how badass I am, I've got great loot.
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't Nastro's Azir look in some way more threatening?
Like each Sand Soldier should have like a gold sword instead.
Sure.
That would actually be really cool.
I literally have never thought of this idea till now.
Well, actually, I thought about it a long time ago. There was an amazing Miss Fortune fan art that came out, and she had like a Banshee's Veil back when Banshee's Veil was an item you could build on an AD carry. Not now. But she had like hanging from her belt and stuff like this. It was super lifelike and really cool. This is not so lifelike, but it's pretty cool that Kuzan almost walks into OnFleek, but is going to keep himself alive.
OnFleek was kind of like one of those British soldiers that stands outside Buckingham Palace. I'm surprised he did not move.
Yeah, he didn't do anything.
With LeBlanc just showing herself, double distorting, no movement at all from the Skarner.
Also doesn't have boots. If he had have just popped out and hit her with the Impale, then she would have been dead. Peanut going to tunnel his way away as Impale is still available.
Yep.
OnFleek, your R button's there, mate. We can press it. But I guess
saving it for late game.
Yeah, I guess did the calculations in his mind for how long he'd be able to impale his target and how long the distortion was able to snap her back. So I guess it just wasn't the right time.
Well, I'm waiting to see how correct your meteorological report is on the 14 minutes 30 summer action.
Phenomenal use of meteorological.
I mean,
I didn't even manage to say it correctly.
I feel like at this point now that I've cast my world final, my new career goal is to use every word in the English language on this broadcast at some point.
You know,
without
meteorology actually triggers me a lot, Papa Smithy, because I actually used to work as a metrologist, which is metrology is measurement and meteorology is weather. And so I was a metrologist for a long time, and so meteorology as a word has just always been really, really strange. I'm like, I was one of wait, I'm not one of them. I'm not a weatherman. Okay, never mind. It's very weird. Anyway, it's an aside.
What do you call someone that researches meteors?
Meteos?
Yeah, the player. Someone who's like really into his trance.
A meteosorologist.
Oh.
Yeah. What if someone researches meteors? What do you call them?
Crazy.
Meteorologist?
Whoa!
I don't know.
Can you do that again? What is your tongue doing when you say that?
I don't know, but I think it's like it's Scooby-Dooing.
You should have said, you definitely said, I don't know.
I don't know. Missed opportunities. We should have rehearsed this before.
We definitely should have. You didn't read the script.
It's so weird.
LS took it with him.
We're having conversations like it's a pause, and it kind of feels like it's a pause. And it's a sandbox game, and it's a GenG game where they have actually been playing a little bit more proactively, but they're not going to proactively stop Shelly from going down. That's an easy one for the Skarner. But slowly but surely, Sandbox are getting themselves to some decent item timings. Quest completion coming in for both of our
Nothing has happened this
Frostfangs.
game. Stop pretending things have happened.
No, the quest was completed before 25 minutes.
It's conspicuous
Amazing.
how little has happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe everyone's trying to work on their TFT composition.
I'm not trolling, but I feel like there's going to be teams that tank in the next month. And I've told you, I've said this on broadcast before, where actually it's going to be, not, well, I mean, I get that reference, but literally there'll be teams that will be negatively impacted by Team Fight Tactics release.
Yeah, oh no.
Because someone will play it too much and not think about League enough.
Yep.
And it will be one of those things you don't even know. It won't even be a player, because players are pretty closely watched. It'll be some analyst that spent too much time playing Team Fight Tactics instead.
You just have a look at your
just know
Fnatic and G2 win rates, guys.
By the way, you're one of those crappy weathermen. Nothing happened.
Well, it hasn't happened yet.
It's 14:30 was
and
40 seconds ago.
The quotient of heat on the map is higher.
It's
because
true.
this fiery Drake guy, there's an abyssal voyage.
Will
GenG
someone
have come
hit each
into
other?
behind the pit to watch the Drake go down.
So you know how in the past, like, how bloody the game was, how many kills came in, and then we had to make the LCK slider of, well, a lot of people almost died.
Yeah.
What's the next one? If anyone actually lands a spell on someone else?
I guess, I mean, the quotient has to be, like, whether we were forced to talk about the game or not.
Let's not.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't have to yet. Don't worry. We're out of the woods. We're doing absolutely fine. As CuVee's lost half the health of his turret.
Oh.
And now back to other news. We love to keep from crying.
This game is the equivalent if we were on the Weather Channel and there was no weather.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, guys, we're kind of the Weather Channel.
Oh, if
we don't have anything else.
If we're referring to this as like a game of teamfight tactics, this is where everyone's going nobles. So no one's doing anything.
Well, everyone's outside.
We're waiting for our Kales.
I actually think everyone's re-rolling for like level 3 Anivias till we actually get the first battle.
Or maybe we're all just ecoing. No one actually has any champions yet.
Eco versus eco is very non-interactive.
Yeah, super non-interactive. Well, Kuzan's almost going to make this minion wave crash into the turret, as Shelly is literally going to crash into the turret.
Yeah, something happened. The first objective of the game that wasn't a Drake at 16 minutes.
SANDBOX on perfect game pace.
And no one's going... It's true.
They literally are.
I feel it's quite an imperfect game, but you are correct.
I know.
Oh,
he's looking to help it out as CuVee does have oranges. He's looking for it to be K, but it is not K just yet as the Hemoplague will lock down first blood. OnFleek, though, is going to go down in response, and now Summit is in between two turrets. He's in a rough position. Peanut's going to go underground. The pull comes in, but that's a double kill going over to Kuzan.
GenG have done it. They've done this for years. Lulled them into a false sense of security. They take their first kill opportunity to go the way of GenG. Now, Dove's going to do a boatload of damage to mid lane outer. He won't quite kill it, but it's basically standing gold. Can SANDBOX use what they have now? A lot of pressure around topside, almost 2 broken turrets to actually get objectives from this? Or is this just going to be the highlight of the game?
Well, I mean, CuVee survived for a lot longer than I was expecting. He waited for the Impaled, then ate his oranges. Always the best time for citrus fruit, by the way, guys, if you were wondering about that one. And then Summit just had nowhere that he could possibly go. I thought maybe he'd be able to get some damage there onto Peanut, but Peanut actually, I believe, went for the ultimate there. It got popped because Summit died.
Honestly, though, if you just clip that, it does feel like a plot twist because at 17 minutes he was caught with half health in between inner and inhibitor turrets, which definitely is very tone-deaf to the rest of the things that happen. So an unearned plot twist. If we were reviewing this as a book, that just doesn't fit with the rest of the game.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused.
Ruler rolls out. Let's look at the gold total. It's about 5,600. So I wasn't actually able to fully catch the total gold that was put together on the Xayah and Lux's side. Well, actually, they're ahead in gold. So Sona and Tom are ahead in gold right now. So they're just straight up winning lane in this non-interactive phase. Our only query is team fighting tools for SANDBOX might be able to overcome even what we've seen of Sona. So will it be the Sona reputation or the Sona reality? Given that with as slow as this game is, we're going to have to see at least one big fight.
I like the learnings that we're going to get from the mid lane as well, because Kuzan's now 2-0. This is going to be on him to channel his aggressive challenger self from last season, see whether he can dictate some pace on this map, because it's likely that he's going to be able to utilize these next few items to really throw his weight around. At the moment, weight's being thrown towards the bottom side by SANDBOX, but it looks like it's just a Scuttle Crab that's going to go down.
And I guess this is something that Ghost opted into, because we should know we were speculating about the first by Executioner's calling, then we were talking about meteorology. There never was one, so that's basically saying I'm going to build my core items and be team fight ready, and you're going to farm up on Sona, and I'm not interacting with you, which seems ultra bold, but that is the decision that was rendered by SANDBOX so far this game. So suddenly, it's kind of going to be mid-game team fight execution or bust for both teams.
Well, Ruler is actually able to use that Song of Celerity very nicely to dodge out of the way of the live binding. Meant that OnFleek wasn't able to get anything done bottom side of the map, and now GenG are just floating about trying to get some work done. Speaking of work done, there is a Pirate. And he's on the wrong side of the map. Maybe it's Dove to be going down here. The chains do land very nicely. Barrel doesn't connect, but gets a flash. You'll take that any day of the week.
It seems like GenG are loading up to stop the perfect objective score that SANDBOX has going on. CuVee walking down. It's a very long lane in top, so you push out one wave, and it takes a while for the enemy to answer. That's why CuVee was on a roam, got a bonus flash. Not often you see a GP roam gank work in the mid lane. Setting up around blue, and that's already a lot of interactive damage.
Exactly. Ghost got game played really hard just there as Joker goes down to about half health. They get a heal out. of the Lux as Kuzan down to about half HP. But Summit is now here. The team fight is at the ready as SANDBOX have 5 members around this Drake. They do start it off.
CuVee's on a flank. No scouting wards in front of the river from SANDBOX, so they're actually going to scout it now. That means that GenG in position. This could be the big moment. Atlas has been waiting a long time for this.
As the Singularity pops, CuVee's position is known. Predator is now available. OnFleek looking for his inroad, trying to find his option. CuVee very safe, being able to eat oranges. You can see GenG are just healing themselves back up. The Archangels is there for Ruler. He does have that crescendo as Summit flashes forward. Gets a huge Emo Plague. The Seraphs, it came in at the right time. Ruler survives, but Peanut isn't going to be so lucky. Life isn't going to be so lucky, and Kuzan has some chains, but they lose the Drake. It's double Infernal now. CuVee has full health. He couldn't do anything.
CuVee was on the flank the entire time, but it just seemed disconnected by the fact that SANDBOX just flashed on the front line. Of course, Sona's going to be out of the fight to one rotation. She doesn't die instantly, but it doesn't matter. SANDBOX take it, and guess what? Through the lull state, it's 21 minutes. They're about to crash through and put their flag on Baron.
Yep, they're going for it. Ruler is going to teleport to this ward that's on the Gromp. Joker comes in, full information available as Ruler does have his crescendo, doesn't have flash, but does have a lot of CC in an AoE available to him. No cannon barrage, remember, as CuVee just dives into this Baron pit. They're going for it. Ruler does land it onto 3 members. There's the Mimic Distortion. As the Baron goes down, it's Dove that picks it up. Super lucky there. 4 SANDBOX's flashes now coming in. Another big pickup, double kill for Kuzan. Now can he get over this wall? The chains don't land, but the Void Rush is fantastic. And now OnFleek is trying to keep the last remaining Baron available here for SANDBOX. Flash forward, no joy, as GenG have to let one Baron go through.
A lot of cleanup here for GenG. The death time is short enough, and with things to get there, they're able to answer a lot of the kills. Already the Baron buff power play gold is going to be a little bit on the lower ebb unless SANDBOX can set it up. We're going to go all the way back to the team fight where you just see a difference between top laners. Summit flashes in with his ultimate, and he may not be 6-item Vladimir yet, but it's enough to ravage the backline, and CuVee was trying to be cute with barrel positions. They were getting just autoed every time they went down, so it's very strange. Wasn't a frontliner, wasn't a diver. We come over to the team fight, and the fact that 3 members were here, the poke goes down, the Baron is on, and it ends up being Azir of all people to secure it.
Yeah, it was very, very close to that being a 50-50 loss, just due to the fact that OnFleek didn't land with a smite to secure that one. Void Rush all too good at taking down non-feather-stormed Zayas.
And that's just a straight-up win from GenG outside of the Infernal Drake going down, because you look at the top right, it's 1450 gold negative already, so GenG picked up more gold than SANDBOX, even including something like the Baron buff and the 1500 gold it provides, and they can't play side lanes unless OnFleek is here. Like, OnFleek is only here to help pushing down an outer turret, because he's the only Baron buff, and Baron buff's power is in the 3 lanes, very rarely in the 1.
Yeah, and now it means that he's not going to be lying in wait elsewhere as well. So very telegraph plays coming out from SANDBOX. However, they do get the man advantage bottom side and take the freestanding gold. Inner, very, very low on the top side of the map, as SANDBOX will almost get back to an even Baron power play mark. But this is probably our worst in the season thus far. Okay. Let's find a decent barrel there onto Joker, and no life binding is going to find too much as Peanut wants to take his rev up. Life over the wall, just gets his tongue through. But Final Spark doesn't do anything, and Kuzan's got a bench as well. We're okay.
I think he was spotting with the R there. Obviously the damage is not going to be massive at level 10, right? So
it's often used just as a vision tool, right?
Yep. One of the big power points of Lux. She has non-committal brush check as a squishy enchanter that usually gets assassinated. Rolling through the mid lane, trying to use their 1 Baron buff.
Now the Hemo Plague immediately goes down, but Summit's not going to find any inroads on this one. Some more W's can get pressed, and then Ruler's going to be absolutely fine. He's got a Lich Bane, he's got his Seraphs, as we mentioned in the previous fight. SANDBOX, this siege is going to be more difficult than you'd anticipate.
With the Sun Turret, though, they can keep up the jig for longer. This next minion wave is the last one with Barons. They have to take the inner with this. See if GenG can poke him away.
Kuzan diving forward with the distortion, does have that sweeper, so knows there's no vision here as Summit goes down very low with a little bit of poke. Decent shield coming out there as SANDBOX are now just going to give up. And it is 1300 disadvantage on the Baron power play.
Yeah, definitely not one to speak of. SANDBOX basically took the Baron off the map but didn't achieve anything else. CuVee's still only tickling. Look, he doesn't really have any damage behind him with the Hex Drinker kind of slowing things down. But like you say, the Sona core is well and truly done, and then suddenly we're going to get the amps on these core items allow her to be just so obnoxious the game goes on. We'll see if it's Banshee next, or maybe a visit to Death Cap and things like that coming in the future. All that is clear is that GenG are kind of sticking their spot in this game. They still have this Sona, and one wrong face check, let me tell you, LeBlanc and Sona blow people up real fast.
Oh, yeah. These are two definite gameplay champions coming from the bottom side of the map and the mid lane. I find it really strange that Ghost didn't go for the executions. I know you were talking about getting item timings, things like that, but now he's gone for a Hex Drinker. Still doesn't have it, as he already has one utility item. If that chain had landed, I have a feeling Dove may have just died there.
Kuzan has cleaned up really well this game. It hasn't been a roaming LeBlanc game where he got his 4 kills. This has been just from lapping up team fights and around that Baron earlier. Look, Kuzan back over the wall again.
Yep, lands another chain, and that should mean that GenG will have position on this Infernal Drake. It's the third one of the game, as that barrel is also fantastic. Remember, we're sitting on Crescendo and Cannon Barrage. The AoE hasn't been expended on GenG's side, and they're corralling once again. In goes Kuzan with the Mimic Distortion. Joker gets softened, still has that W available as another Hemo Plague. Now launches its way in, but he can't do it in time. The CC bar's too good. The Cannon Barrage on top of the Crescendo just eliminates the Hemomancer, and now GenG will be able to take their Infernal.
I think GenG really have taken the title deed for the LoL stake. SANDBOX looked all out of whack. Summit dived in with Hemoplague. Joker was still auto it. Oh, Lux, come on.
Wow.
Peanut didn't have Smite up, and unfortunately missed out on that one. You can see 0.1 seconds away just as we're speaking.
Ruler should have queued. It does more damage than the...
I can hear the Korean casters losing their mind over that one.
Yeah.
Super lazy from GenG. They thought they were done, but level 11 Lux snipes it away. And now it's triple Infernal, and it's one that SANDBOX had no business taking.
And remember, we had our first, in a long time, triple Infernal loss in week number 3.
I don't want to talk about that game. I want to talk about this fight for a moment before we go back to LoL states. Because watch what's happening. Ghost is trying to lifesteal off blue buff as Summit engages. That's already not SANDBOX. They've been one of our best shot-calling teams.
Yeah.
And being in complete control. So he just gets blown up by the perma CC and through the ultimate from the Sona, but then here we watch the replay. The Observer is confirming what I mentioned. Smite wasn't available here, and yet they just put no thought into it. It hit 153 health. Like, it's just lazy, and the Lux. Oh,
okay!
Joker's feeling pretty good. On the picture-in-picture, they're on Baron already, SANDBOX. Are they just going to steal this one under the nose?
Yeah, they might be able to. I mean, Peanut is here, so they are going to peel away. Not going to go for the 50-50, not going to risk it one more time. Summit doesn't get hit by the chains, and therefore he's not going to get chunked out of this fight, but OnFleek, he's booking it. He's going so damn fast on this Skarner. The Impale is in, but Joker is going to get focused out on the back line. He's going to be the first to go down as Peanut goes golden, and Ruler is just keeping everyone alive for so long. Kuzan once again able to dive back into the fight as Peanut walks down the kill on the delivered Azir over the wall. The team fights are so good from GenG. They can't seem to take a Drake, but they can just kill your entire team. Summit eventually goes down. He takes Peanut with him, as OnFleek finds himself friendless one more time, and if that doesn't fit in with the Skarner lore, I don't know what does, Papa Smithy.
GenG team fighting so smartly with this Sona. It's best illustrated in a replay, but they never made it about the 5v5 that we imagined, where Azir splits the team, Hemoplague on 5. No, it was multiple skirmishes from multiple directions, where by the end, Peanut buying time with his stasis allowed Sona to get the first kill, and then the sustain war can only be won by Sona.
Oh no.
Oh, Joker,
no.
can he do it a second time?
It's available. They don't have vision. They don't have vision, and it's going to... Shaking in me boots, Papa Smithy.
If Joker stole that one, we throw the headsets off.
Yeah,
Call it.
yeah.
Now watch how this fight happens. The all-in happens onto OnFleek on the one side. Like you say, the Turbo Skarner, the most decisive thing we've seen all game. Super fast. Righteous Glory pops there. But look what happens after that. Kuzan can get out. On the back end, Ruler and the rest can assassinate Joker. And then the moment Peanut comes out of stasis, sustain, Tahm Kench Devour. So many tools. This sort of an extended fight where they never rip the 5-member Sona apart, suddenly the AoE heals and the AoE enchanting that the Q provides is always going to overwhelm. So those are the fights SANDBOX categorically can't take.
And also, CuVee surviving here was absolutely ridiculous. Thank you very much, Sona, for the W's.
Right, bro.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool hat.
That
Just
is.
got multiple swords that are red, look like they're on fire, a really cool stick, another stick that's giving her money, some great shoes, and a swell hat. This is a swag Sona right now.
And this is a Sona that SANDBOX gave up in multiple ways, had multiple rounds to ban it. Could have banned it first round, could have banned it second round, could have built Executioner's Calling. They literally, we always use the adage of, oh, they might have left too much rope and hanged themselves. Literally happened in this game if they lose this Sona. And like we mentioned, every fan can see it and say, how was it left open? And only SANDBOX have the answer. If we saw it, their coach would have seen it too.
Yep, and now Life has the one item that he needed as well. The QSS comes in. Now he can just gobble everyone up if they get consumed by the Impale.
And yet, triple Infernal. Correct synergy between Azir and Vlad. There's still one-shot potential out there. So, even with all this discussion...
You need the Vlad alive.
You do. This is not the time, it turns out.
Yeah.
And this is definitely a categorically better Baron buff. We're 4,000 for good.
Exactly. I mean, they had a great Baron power play against the Baron. Imagine what they can do with the Baron. As Kuzan just spotting this rotation over from SANDBOX, but CuVee's got his barrels in line. Just been so comfortable on the GP. Feels like a real power pick here for GenG. More barrels come in, 4 very slow members of SANDBOX, and if Skarner doesn't like one thing, it's being slow.
Look, CuVee is definitely the furthest away from an MVP this game in that he's done basically nothing except put down ults and not die. But that's all he's had to do.
Yeah.
He was another person who was trying to stabilize. And he was part of that stabilization and gets to affect the map without committing. So hard to argue with the pick, like you say. Ruler walks up. Now they can just try engaging here, but Tom Kench with QSS next to him, nothing doing.
Exactly. The Devour will stop any Impales from being an issue, so Ruler is safe to do that. And Song of Celerity gets him out of the way. I thought he was going to go for some harass with that auto attack, but he takes half the health bar of the turret instead of deciding to take half the health bar of Ghost or of Joker. I can understand that decision.
All right. SANDBOX gets one go where Skarner presses his go fast button and Vladimir Azir do the rest. If they don't take it, they just lose anyway. But with 3 Infernals, the wombo potential is always there. So we can't even pencil in the W for GenG just yet.
Yeah. Certainly, I mean, I don't know, triple Infernal feels like a bit of a death nail now. Is it, if SANDBOX lose this game, is this, how many triple Infernals have we had this season? It's almost like triple Infernal will have a losing win rate.
I think it will be 0-2, Atlas. I don't remember a victory with triple Infernal as
mid lane. Really, really strange. Ghost is going to get taken down extremely low. That Ignite will not kill him as OnFleek is looking for more life. I don't know whether he had to use, no, didn't need to use the QSS because that Impale wasn't actually thrown out. OnFleek was just trying to bait something.
He's just kind of worthless at the moment. Without so much disarray, without Vladimir and Azir swooping in, it's so easy for Tom Kench to answer everything that Skarner's trying to do. So he's basically nothing. He doesn't even have, like, he's actually feeling bad because his Shirelius is useful, but his Righteous Glory is not, right?
And like, I just find this so strange. Like, at the beginning of spring, if we saw this composition that SANDBOX has put together, and we say, all right, we'll give them, you know, at 30 minutes, basically even gold, triple Infernal, do they ever lose? I think you say 100% of the time, no, hell no.
But with Sona, that's always a wrinkle where you give it a chance.
Yeah.
And then with the play here, I think SANDBOX has been very surprisingly not coordinated this series. Just like when we saw Ghost on the blue buff while they hard engage. Got to buy time for Ghost to lifesteal back up. He was poked out by Kuzan. Kuzan has been the MVP of this game, in my opinion, poking around, getting so much harassing. He's been the annoying mosquito that has distracted SANDBOX in this like great swaths of 25 minutes where it felt like they should be able to win the game.
The thing that I think is even better about what Kuzan did was the fact that he got delivered the first 2 kills of the game and then did exactly what he needed to with that added power that was given to him. So SANDBOX will now turn around the push here in the mid lane as that Baron has worn off. They're able to now get some inroads here towards top side of the map.
Ruler's hit level 16.
Yeah, he's got a really cool cup as well.
He's got his CDR cap, and remember, he has his internal CDR on top. So now you're basically God as Sona. It's so hard to beat a level 16 Sona. We cannot count out 3 Infernal Vlad Azir, but you want to, because it feels like we can count out SANDBOX Gaming in game number 1.
Just wondering when GenG are going to pull that trigger. So it feels like SANDBOX have a lot of tools, but they're just not going to be relevant.
But then they also have pretty weird builds for 35 minutes in, 58,000 gold. 3 items normal on Ghost. It had to be delayed because of the Hex Drinker, but if you notice, a hodgepodge of support items with no completed items.
Yeah,
a Joker compared to Deathcap, Seraphs, Extra Shield, and also Knight's Vow. So like the synergy between the Tahm Kench Sona is unreal. And meanwhile, Joker's kind of just been cribbing together what he can. Here's an engage attempt.
Yeah, we may have found it, as that's going to be the dash away. Oh, Hemoplague is already down, but the Devour from Life. He goes into the stasis, but he has his mid layer die in his belly. And have we found it? Have we found the team fight? His life takes so long to go down. Ghost picked on the backside as now Ruler speeding everyone up, but SANDBOX should still be able to grab this Baron. Peanut, can he do it? He's had steals like this before. But this one's going to have to be a miracle. Trying to get over this wall. Ruler still poking. Dove taking a lot of damage.
Well, does a lot of poke damage. Can they turn? They hit the stun.
Yep, they're going to land it here as Peanut dives into the back of the pit. He's now trying to solo this Baron out by himself. The Sona's going to go down, but Peanut still in the pit. Steals it. What the heck? SANDBOX just let him kill the Baron.
Wow. This has been a game of steals, Atlas. He gets the steal, 1v4 basically, with no one there to be able to stop him.
Could the game still just be over? I mean, it was an ace on the side of SANDBOX. Can they
Kuzan
just win the game?
has respawned. Life has respawned. I don't think so.
Oh my goodness. And the game will continue.
The Baron was at 3,000 health. Theoretically, they could have just put everything into Peanut, but I guess through GA they thought just by hook or by crook, the Baron would take damage, so in the end, they don't really make a decision. They're going to try and finish the game, like you say, but it should be 3 members strong.
Yep, Cannon Barrage is now available as well as CuVee's going to get devoured. That's the Impale. He'd already had the QSS. That's a 4-man Mimic Distortion, though, from Kuzan. Everyone's very, very low. SANDBOX are going to back away. They've broken open the base in the mid lane. And this game, this story ain't over just yet.
We're going to have to see the replay to fully understand that, Atlas. The Guardian Angel is the annoying wrinkle, though, because the Baron's alive for so long. We watched the replay. They're poking around. Kuzan has done this the entire game. To get caught by the sweeper and then ulted. And they actually get Kuzan out of the fight. Now, I'm not sure about the Devour decision here. I don't believe that redirects damage. So
no, it doesn't. So
I don't really
understand. Was always going to
I don't really know what Life was doing in the front line. Ends up dying. Things happen. Love the re-engage by Pin. Killing Ghost here means the Baron's going to be slow. Means the AD carry is dead. Means the game is less likely to end. Perfect decision there. He comes in at 3,000 health, and you're in this weird choice where Zier's hitting things AoE. They're trying to kill him, but in the end, it just ends up being a Baron. You have to get him into stasis. You can't smite during that end and kill him, but by positioning, by mistakes, etc., he gets the Baron steal out of nowhere. The 2 steals this game was super unlikely.
Just the weirdest.
To add to our original meteorology talk, it was literally summer skies and the flash thunderstorms twice. Came out of nowhere. No one could have seen them. I accept your apology, Atlas. It's very hard to expect to even see that one coming.
I know. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just sometimes being a meteorologist is difficult. I grew up in Melbourne. Papa Smithy, it is known for having completely unpredictable weather. That's just how it works.
See, I'm from WA. We got regional beef going. We don't talk about the regional beef, man. We don't have the Perth versus Melbourne thing going.
Yeah. I mean,
all we hear about...
I don't think that's a competition.
From our side, it is.
Oh, is it?
On the Perth side, we hear you guys have very nice coffee and that it rains every day here.
Hey, and we also have all of Australia's culture.
Hey, you're probably right.
All right, well, SANDBOX going to continue pushing in a turret now in trouble.
I mean, Vlad is decked out and then some. And while Baron buffs come and go, 3 Infernals do not. So there's still no guarantees about this game. We're going at 40 minutes.
Maybe we need triple Infernal Elder Drake for SANDBOX to win this game. Cannon Barrage is going to try and defend the turret, but it doesn't even manage that. Hemoplague is going to be traded in response as Kuzan dives forward. No Emperor's Divide used just yet from Dove. Peanut now on the flank. Prey Seeker comes in. Peanut's position is known. He'll take the tunnel, get himself out.
GenG don't chase very well. Their engage is pretty low. It needs to be fights around objectives or things that they are defending or in control of. The vision's away from them, and so it has to be base turrets. That's Hemoplague. About 50% CDR, probably about 25 seconds away from being back.
Yeah, Ruler just waiting for that opportunity, but doesn't have the crescendo available.
Last time.
Yeah. Okay, 3,000 gold still the lead for GenG, but the pressure is now in the hands of SANDBOX. As this game goes on and on, remember the stats get higher and higher. as everyone's approaching or has reached level 18. And so the Infernal Drakes are going to be doing even more.
And if you push me again to the question we've been asking since Champion Select, if they run at each other 5v5 in the late game, who wins? I truly believe it is SANDBOX, because in a true 5v5 where it's not LeBlanc pokes someone out to begin it, where it's very much an equal vision, I think they have the tools to negate Sona's insane extended team fighting by just bursting someone in an AoE and making that trivial. Yet, Kuzan has been great this game at poking around, caught the last time, but has been very reliable in doing things. There's no guarantee we get that 5v5, but if it does happen, I have to think that SANDBOX, even with their missed synergies and missed executions in the first 40 minutes, should be with the 3 Infernals ready to go. They have an ungodly amount of damage on everyone except Ghost, who only now is finishing his 5th item.
But where's the execution? He still has that Hex Drinker sitting there, and I just need Ghost to move to a Mortal Reminder.
I mean, Azir does apply it in an AoE decently, but I agree with you. You need a secondary source.
Yeah, the Sand Soldiers, I don't think are going to have the range to really combat this by himself.
If you want a serious answer, after he didn't go for it
earlier,
earlier,
Joker almost explodes.
Kuzan's just looking for the support here. It's back to Season 3. Faker's assassinating Enchanter supports. But because he didn't go Execution Calling early, he was sitting on Hex Drinker and QSS for a long time. He actually ran out of item space to get executions at a normal time, and then awkwardly didn't have gold values. His build is very delayed.
Well, Ruler was looking for that Lichbane proc, but backdoor bonus going to be too good. CuVee is going to get slowed down. The Impale comes in. OnFleek able to take down the top laner very easily, and now Dove wants the rest of this fight. Life very, very fast, able to get out. It's Kuzan. Does have the distortion. OnFleek still hunting, still so fast on the Skarner, but that is one pick going to SANDBOX, not too much more. Another crescendo comes in, but it's Ghost that grabs it, and instantly the engage comes down. The Sona is going to explode, and I think SANDBOX have done it. I think they found themselves the fight. The Baron's up in 10 seconds, but we may as well just try and win this game. Dove goes into his stopwatch, but the damage has been done as Ghost is snapped away by Kuzan.
Ghost went full Captain Jack on that awesome frontline play, echoing bang over on the LCS this week, but him going down always muddies thing. No AD carry, but with this many members, with no Sona, with only LeBlanc and Tahm Kench, I think SANDBOX can close it here.
Well, they're looking to do it. Remember, this is the last. No super creeps. The inhibitor has respawned once again. Life is down here. Kuzan's made his way in. 4 seconds until Cannon Barrage. OnFleek's very fast with that Tongue Lash was fantastic. Redemption comes in. Decent damage, actually, as the Grey Health is going to be consumed. Cannon Barrage in a decent position, but not quite decent enough as CuVee might just explode, and he does. Dove able to take down that kill, and everyone is eviscerated. SANDBOX with their 3 Infernal Drakes, able to take down the Nexus and win game 1. But good God, was it messy.
SANDBOX got over the line by hook or by crook, by whatever they could do, but the mis-execution from them early was what allowed this game to be such a comfortable farm fest for both teams for so long. No executions going, no pressure onto Sona Tahm. And even though we still liked the team fight against the Sona comp, it still was no real winner in this game until very late in the piece. And now we're kind of left scratching our heads to how this series started this way and hoping that both teams can adjust their approach coming into the next one.
Yeah, I think it's just such a weird game. So slow, nothing really happening, and then everything weird happening 1 second after the other. It was very hard game to process, and also a difficult game, I think, for both of these teams to work out how
Which team is happier?
Yeah, I know, and I think that honestly, like, the troubles were there more for SANDBOX, but GenG are going to be very, very tilted.
GenG, unfortunately, could get nothing through Peanut in the early game, and then played the passenger role well. We know they can be this passenger in games and then turn it on, and they were out team fighting in kind of difficult spots, but unfortunately we kind of have to be negative Nellies and focus on the mis-executions by SANDBOX around those team fights rather than GenG being inspired and how they play the fights. Felt like they were kind of gift-wrapped some opportunities and they took them to their credit. So unfortunately, both teams come away probably feeling worse for the run, and we're going to see how they bounce back on both sides, even though there always has to be a winner and a loser.
Hi guys, SANDBOX fans here in the audience.
They got their victory.
Yeah, didn't pick up their radios though, unfortunately. Can't have a chat with those guys. As Joker, his Lux was fantastic, stealing away the dragon, as just And then Peanut returning the favor by stealing the Baron from underneath SANDBOX's nose. So many things that make this game really difficult to analyze just because of the random things that happened that cause differences. And GenG just lost this game with a 200 gold lead.
Don't you worry, we were using a lot of cool words instead of analyzing for a lot of it because the game unfortunately went in a weird spot. See some of the gold hijinks here, big damage numbers, but yeah, at the end of the day, SANDBOX Gaming just about got over the line in a really extended 43-minute game.
And I wonder who's going to get the MVP. I mean, I know who I voted for, but I'm still not entirely sure whether it was the correct choice. It's sort of one of these games where I was considering MVPs on GenG's side as the game was continuing.
CuVee was kind of poking with his barrels again. I feel like it's the second time that happened. He just failed the interaction pretty hard.
Live just, he gobbled a minion.
That is some extra insight. Whoopsie.
We're not giving the MVP to Life.
No.
Not in this one.
Life sucked a little bit in that game, but the player himself was, you know, having a decent one, but unfortunately...
Sometimes in life, you eat the wrong things and you get punished for it.
You have great days, not bad days. That's just life.
Yep. Sometimes you just really like cheese, but you're lactose intolerant. It's a little bit of the awkwardness, but we are going to wait a little bit longer. We're going to get some sweet highlights, so... We get to talk about that game and ruminate a little bit more on what this sort of means for the rest of the series, because now
looks good on camera.
Talking about the important things, Papa's beard.
I don't really want to talk about that game anymore. I want a new game with cool things to talk about in the new game.
Well, let's talk about Teamfight Tactics. Ooh. Oh wait, not that kind of new game.
Almost released.
Yeah, very exciting.
Oh my god, we have a telecom war on Teamfight Tactics.
Dude, it's already out in Oceania. Got it one day early. Nailed it.
Yeah.
Time to reinstall that client, my dude.
Ooh, Oceanic client?
Yeah.
Does it turn the other way?
Papa, you were on the dang client. You were a professional player on that client. Actually, no, you weren't. You're on the NA client. It wasn't released just yet. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the end of game number 1. But don't worry, it's a best-of-3 series. We've got a potential 2 more. As Papa's spinning the wrong way, we'll see whether we can spin back after the break.
뭐야 이거?
형 채트. 뭐야 이거
너희가 볼래?
뭐야.
깔았어 이거 마무리해줘.
가자. 천천히 봐봐.
천천히 봐줘.
오케이.
슈퍼랑 슈퍼. 가자.
가볼게 이거 계속 가볼게.
계속 가봐.
뭐야.
네, 너무 빠른데. 그래 따라.
바론이야 어차피. 우리 안 죽으면 바론이야.
가자.
잠깐만. 나이스.
보자 이거.
가자. 손봐. 캐치.
다 해봐줘야 돼. 렉.
위에 르블랑.
끝내자. 아니 르블랑 빠졌어.
아 이겼다.
가자. 안 빠졌네.
에이 W.
아 그래도 갈만하지 않아?
갈만해.
가자 이거.
아,
여기 더
꺾이면 안 되긴 해, 그때.
블라디가 막아줘. 블라디 한번
네, 라인 막아. 라인.
라인 가자. 라인 따라가자.
아,
이거
따라가.
텔타줄게. 가자. 텔. 갱플 20초긴 한데.
끝내. 바로는 욕 먹어야 될 것 같은데 비엠플 나와 이거.
끝낼만 하지 않냐? 쳐보자. 가자.
4명인데.
나국 돌았어. 나국 20초. 예수원 있나?
1초. 빨리 가보자. 손 없어.
쳐봐.
야, 타워.
맹골 나온다. 타워.
맹풀 나왔어.
천천히 엉대고.
캠플 끌었어.
갱플.
스턴 해놨어.
나이스.
끝났다. 나이스.
야, 쏟아 나와.
오케이. 끝났다.
아, 내가
아,
미안하다 내가.
나 잘했어. 괜찮아.
와, 이거 쏟아.